Hey everybody, I'm back. Yeah, your eyes do not deceive you. I'm in a new place. I finally moved out. Got a roommate and everything. It's been a crazy week trying to get everything assimilated, and I'm still in the process of getting certain things in order. So my apologies for being a little lagging in my content lately, but I'm here today to talk about the recent Mission Impossible film, The Final Reckoning. Christopher McQuarrie returns with the one and only Tom Cruise, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Haley Atwell, and a slew of other people, including Nick Offerman as a general. And yeah, the lighting in here is not exactly the greatest. I'm trying to figure out what better lighting I would use, but bear with me as I try to navigate this new setting. I'm so used to the way I had certain things for the last 3 years, but yeah, anyway, let's just get to the Mission Impossible stuff. Ethan Hunt is in the final stages of confronting the entity and defeating it once and for all. The mission, should he choose to accept it, is to stop the entity from causing a nuclear holocaust throughout the world. Basic world-ending threats that we've seen a million times before in this franchise, but with all the stuff that Tom Cruise is known for, with his crazy stunts, high stakes, all the gadgets that the IMF will offer, and an unlikely team of misfits that can provide exactly what they need to save the world. My relationship with the franchise is very unique. I've seen the first 2 movies in parts, never the whole way through, but I've been following the franchise since the third Mission Impossible. It came out when I was a freshman in high school. I was practically a kid still when I got into this. And since then, it's hard not to notice the evolution of this franchise. J.J. Abrams re-energized it after John Woo and Brian De Palma put their own stamp on it. Brad Bird was able to put his own stamp with Ghost Protocol, and I think today, along with Fallout, still remains the best in the series. And with all the crazy things that they require Tom Cruise to do, or that he actually requires himself to do, it seems like just when you think it couldn't go any crazier than it already has, Tom Cruise has to pull a rabbit out of a hat by hanging from a helicopter, hanging from an airplane that's taking off from an airfield. And in this one, you've seen it in the trailers, he's actually going onto a biplane and goes down to the wreckage of a submarine in the Arctic Circle. I guess we're gonna have to go right into it. Not gonna talk about absolutely everything, but there's a few things in here that I can't really talk about without putting in the warning. With a series like Mission Impossible, when you have 2 entries that I think are still among the best action films in the entire series, I'd say it's really hard to maintain that quality of energy. As for Dead Reckoning, it was still, I would say, probably really close to the quality of Fallout and Ghost Protocol. And going into this movie, I was hearing a lot about how they had to do a lot of explaining, a lot of legwork in order to get to the main crux of the finale. Coming out of it, I could definitely see the problems, and after a while, I have to admit, the info dump scenes and the contextualization of certain plot points that were established in previous movies through flashbacks, such as Jon Voight's character from the first film, the Rabbit's Foot in Mission Impossible 3, which turns out to be a crucial part of the entity's creation. And Gabriel actually does bring this up to Ethan earlier on in the movie, that you always wondered about that for years, but you never found out until now. I thought for many years that it was some kind of a bioweapon. There's a certain point where you could see the hazard sign on the canister. Obviously, I don't think that was really the intention at the time, but the fact that they were able to go back to that and retcon it to make it fit with what's going on right now, I really like that detail, and it does kind of make me think of Mission Impossible 3 differently in hindsight. And certain characters like this guy who's chasing after Ethan Hunt in Dead Reckoning, and in this one, he's the son of Jon Voight's character from the first film. And he clearly feels some bitterness towards Ethan Hunt over what happened to his father, even though his father did indeed turn out to be a traitor. That's how I'm remembering it correctly from the first film. I do remember the train tunnel sequence from the first movie, and also the heist scene when he breaks into that high secure area. And they tie that in with a certain tech guy who was in the first film, and he's actually proven to be of good use in order to disarm the bomb in the finale. I do like seeing that stuff and how it adds certain layers to certain plot points in hindsight. On the flip side, it does kind of weigh the movie down. The first half is really a lot of talking, a lot of explaining as to what they're gonna do. The Mission Impossible series is no stranger to that stuff because you have to explain to the audience what the stakes are for a certain set piece. But this one, after a while, really hits you over the head with the info dumps. Admittedly, after a while, I was starting to go, okay, can we just get to the point already? We already know what's going on. I think if they just trim down the explaining and put more focus on the emotional weight that's definitely present throughout the whole thing, even if it shows up in certain moments, with Luther, for example. I already put in the spoiler warning, so you can't yell at me. Luther actually goes out in a blaze of glory, kind of. He sacrifices himself to protect the mission and to stop the entity. They allude to some sort of illness that he's been stricken with. I guess it's cancer or some other terminal illness, but they never really go into it. And I was starting to think, what's going on with Luther? And the exchange he has with Ethan and the final message that he leaves in the finale of the film, I have to admit, it kind of got me. I mean, I knew that somebody was going to die. I was worried that it was going to be Benji, but I guess if it had to be somebody, it had to be Luther. I did wish that they give some sort of context as to what exactly was going on with him. This film, unfortunately, might have been the victim of the Hollywood strike that happened 2 years ago, so they probably had to rework and refit certain things. I'm not going to put all the blame on the creators for that, but I still think they could have had at least some fine-tuning in those areas. But still, I found it to be a pretty decent emotional anchor and a good sense of finality and closure for Ethan. And also, it just came to me. Ethan has been spending so many times trying to ride that line for the greater good and for those he cares about. Even during Fallout some time ago, I thought, dude, you're gonna have to get to a point where you have to make a sacrifice. And I'm not saying that that's okay, but if knowing that he was going to be able to save everybody, including his friends, I felt like the series would have been missing something there. So on the one hand, I do like seeing the consequences of how he can't always save everybody. I just wish there was more focus on that though. Really, when you get down to it, my feelings on the movie are kind of complicated. Overall, I'm very satisfied with the movie. It's a really good time. I would put it on the same level as Rogue Nation. Not necessarily as far as the plot and the way it's made, but as far as the overall quality where it's good, but it's not great. In spite of all that, the movie does make up for it with the usual stuff that we expect, from Tom Cruise doing all these crazy stunts and putting himself in certain situations where you can't really believe what you're seeing, making us, the audience, go, how are you going to get out of this one exactly? Going to the near bottom of the ocean to the wreckage of that submarine, almost dying of decompression syndrome. Not to mention the road getting there in order to sneak aboard this aircraft carrier using certain code phrases, and for the submarine crew that he sneaks aboard on to operate on a need-to-know basis, fighting off certain traitors in their midst, the ones who are brainwashed by the entity. I mean, having seen the biplane sequence in the trailer, I knew Ethan wasn't going to die from going into the submarine, but the movie does still find a good way of getting your nerves going. And even with all the problems with the script, Christopher McQuarrie still has a really good grip on the Mission Impossible franchise. Ever since he came in with Rogue Nation, there really is a good sense of consistency, just like David Yates with the later Harry Potter films. But then we have the biplane sequence, and just seeing Tom Cruise claw his way up the fuselage of this thing, the courage he has to do something like that, and the reasons for it, I will never understand. But that's the thing with Tom Cruise. Whether you like him or not, the guy clearly knows what he's doing. He's had years and decades of experience in the film industry. He cares about what the audience wants to see. He knows how to put them on the edge of their seat in the right ways. And if he wants to do stuff like this by the time he's 70 or 80, just like Harrison Ford does, have at it, Tom. I'm here for it. Even if you're 90 years old and still doing it, I won't complain. I don't think he's going to go that far, but more than likely he's going to come up with some excuse. Who knows? And Simon Pegg as Benji, I would say, is the MVP of the series. He has some of the best lines and some of the best comedic timing. I don't really know if I can add much else to this. I mean, he doesn't really do as much as I would have liked him to, but I do like the personal stakes that are involved with him, just like in Rogue Nation, where you're not really sure if he's going to survive this one after he gets wounded. And the actress, I can't pronounce her name, but she was Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy. She proves to be a very useful ally too, and also kind of a badass. And Haley Atwell's character, Grace, a very reduced role in comparison to Dead Reckoning, but her connection with Ethan keeps him grounded and is able to help him keep going on the mission. And her pickpocketing skills turn out to be very useful when she has to cut the wire and grab the entity right when it enters the capsule. The whole notion of it being in the blink of an eye, I kid you not, I was literally shuddering at the thought of that. I mean, I knew somehow it was going to work out in the end, but right when it happens, where you have like 100 milliseconds to get this exactly right or we're done, no pressure or anything, right? Just a little bit. Don't mind that sound, it's just a helicopter. As far as Gabriel being the bad guy, this is the one thing I think really sticks out like a sore thumb. Even with all the info dump stuff, that's not nearly as annoying as Gabriel in this one. He is very hammy and just so one note. Whereas in Dead Reckoning, I thought he had some potential to be a very captivating bad guy. Unfortunately, Philip Seymour Hoffman, God rest his soul, is the only good villain that the Mission Impossible series has ever had. Now, this series isn't exactly notorious for having good bad guys. We really go to these movies just to watch Tom Cruise do all these crazy stunts and run 20 miles an hour after a bad guy, which he does yet once again, and every time he does, my heart starts to race with excitement. Running exactly just like Saquon Barkley did last season with the Eagles in their Super Bowl run. The final scene that we get in this one is when all the team members meet up in this one area of London, give a silent nod to each other, and go their separate ways. Very similar to the ending of Dark Knight Rises, where certain characters look at each other from a distance and nod in recognition. I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know what it is, but if you somehow never seen it, don't worry, I won't give it away. If this really does indeed turn out to be the final entry in the series, that ending scene alone might actually do just fine. There's enough there where it could possibly go in different directions. If they decide that this is the end, hey, that's fine with me. So all in all, This is a pretty satisfactory ending to the series. Definitely needed a lot of reworking, especially with the info dump stuff, and the villain is just... yeah, let's not get into that. Delivering all the stuff that we expect to see from Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt at this point, and the contextualization of certain plot points from the previous films, while it does kind of go overboard after a while, I do like seeing how it makes certain things feel a lot more in focus in hindsight. Definitely could have been better. I don't want to sound like I'm settling for less. But as far as I'm concerned...
well, I'm satisfied.
So that's about all I got for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment below and tell me what your thoughts are on this movie if you've seen it. And also, by the time I'm recording this, I wasn't able to get my thoughts out on the recent episode of The Last of Us, so I might fold my thoughts on both episodes together in one video. It's been a crazy week, and there's been a few speed bumps along the way, but thank you guys for being patient with me. Stay tuned for more stuff coming up soon. Hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more from me, and I'll see you in the next one.